New at 10, despite Rochester voters saying no to last year's technology referendum, Rochester Public Schools is now proposing a $19.4 million referendum. KIMT News 3's Brandon Cote is joining us live from the Edison building. And Brandon, this proposal is almost doubling last year's failed referendum of $10 million. So why does the district think voters will pass the referendum this time around?
Yes, Ananda, that was one of the many questions Dr. Pekel had to address tonight by the school board right here at the study session that took place here at Edison. Now, what he says is that he's really hoping to highlight the consequences the Rochester community will experience if this referendum doesn't pass, like potential school closures and other programs shutting down. He really wants to make it clear on what the Rochester community and students will miss out on.
If this doesn't pass in the November of 2024, we will have to make the cuts for the following school year. It's that tight.
Dr. Pekel is asking taxpayers for nearly $20 million every year for the next decade.
It's been stressful, mostly because we almost had to close schools.
To avoid cutting at least $20 million starting in 2025.
That's why we are asking for the $19.4 million to really actually put Rochester Public Schools on solid financial footing.
This year's levy is different from the failed technology referendum. It's dedicated to keeping school positions and programs alive, like school counselors and career and technical classes.
This is not for technology at all. It's for teaching and learning.
As COVID-19 funding from the state will no longer be available next year, the school district now has one less funding option.
I'm not oblivious to the pressure family incomes face with property taxes. And so in asking for this amount, we know we are asking the citizens to take a big step.
And this time around, no knight in shining armor like the Mayo Clinic will come to save the day.
Well, that's not what Rochester wants to be, like a community where you have the best hospital in the world investing in the community while you're closing schools and people are coming to school board meetings sobbing. And so we've got to close that gap.
Now, when I asked him what schools or programs would be shut down, he didn't have an answer for me yet, but he does say that before the beginning of the next school year, he'll have a more definite answer and more specifics on how this will impact the Rochester School District and its students. Live in Rochester, Brandon Cote, KIMT News 3.
All right, and one more thing, Brandon, did Dr. Pekel mention any more meetings or discussions happening in the future in hopes to sway more supporters?
No, not really. He says it is in the very early stages, but as we saw with the technology referendum, they did do a lot of outreach with making videos and really sending out newsletters and holding information sessions. But like we all know, that did not work out. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of approach RPS takes. But like I said, they're really wanting to highlight the consequences because they felt like last time it wasn't clear enough for the voters.
All right, thank you so much for that clarification, Brandon. And the Rochester School Board will vote on putting the referendum on this year's election ballot at their next meeting on May 21st. You can stay with KIMT as new information unfolds.